Good morning, students. Today we're going to be talking about our persuasive letter assignment. If you'll remember back in Lesson 1, we discussed that we were going to create a proposal to the Governor of Alabama about catastrophic weather in Alabama at the end of our unit. Well, now we're at the end of our unit and it's time to write the Governor. To conclude this unit, you're going to write a persuasive letter to the governor about the effects of severe weather in Alabama. In this letter, you will need to take a position on your suggested action, which can be directed toward mitigation, adaptation, or taking no action. Your suggestion will need to be backed up by evidence and reasoning. You will begin a rough draft of your letter in my document, and then we will proofread and edit your letters during the week until you're ready to turn in your final draft on March the 3rd. You're encouraged to use Google to further any research you need to do to strengthen your suggestions, and make sure when you use Google as your search engine that you choose reliable websites as your sources. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the assignment and then we'll talk about how to set up a letter. Living with catastrophic weather in Alabama is something we're all aware of because we live here in Alabama. So think about what kind of catastrophic weather events do we have? Mostly those would be tornadoes. Now sometimes we do have the effects of a hurricane or something like that, but generally we have tornadoes that we worry about. There have been times when we've even had like unexpected snowstorms and things like that. If you want to go in that direction, that would be fine. You could do the hurricane direction, the winter storm direction, or tornadoes. But what we're probably most familiar with would be the tornadoes. So think about one of those catastrophic weather events and think about some questions that you have about how we proceed as a community or a county or the whole state about how we react to those weather events. How do we plan ahead? How do we prepare? What do we stockpile and save up so we'll have it ready for those times of emergency? What kind of emergency plans are in place? How do we go about taking care of people who have been affected by the storms? So there's all kinds of questions that you could think of about how to develop a plan to live with these events. And how can you find out the answers? Well, you can do some research about how other places deal with these emergencies. How do other civil governments take care of these things? And so there's three directions, but I would prefer you go in one of these two directions. Mitigation is lessening the effects. So would your plan that you have for taking care of catastrophic events and how we react to those, what can you do or what can your plan propose to help lessen the effects of those storms? Like, can we do more to plan ahead? Can we do more for notifying people ahead of time of an emergency? So what can we do to help lessen the effects of the storm that you choose? Or how can we adapt to? How can we learn to live with the effects? What can we do as an adaptation to help people in Alabama to be better able to live with the effects after a storm? Okay, so when you write to the governor, you're going to be writing a persuasive letter. You're going to propose a plan for what you think we should do as a state to deal with these catastrophic weather events. And so is your plan going to be more leaning towards mitigation or adaptation? Or do you think we need to take no action? Do you just want to applaud the state for what we already do? And we do have some pretty good plans in place, but I believe there's always room for a little improvement, but I'll let you take the stand. Do you want to help to do mitigation to lessen the effects, or adaptation to help people to learn to live with the effects, or no action at all? And for any of these steps that you take, you need to provide evidence to support the suggestions that you write about in your letter. Okay, let's take a look at how to write a persuasive letter. Okay, let's look at the format. When you write your letter on your Google Doc, you're going to start out with left justification. That means all of your stuff is going to be lined up along the left-hand side of the page. You're going to start out with the date, then you'll skip a line and put your name and address. Then you'll skip a line and you'll address this to who your audience is. And for you, it's the governor of the state of Alabama, and that would be Miss Kay Ivey. And then you would find out the address that you would send letters to the Capitol, to the governor. Not her personal address, but her letter to her office at the Capitol. And then you would start out your letter, Dear Mrs. Ivey, or Dear Honorable Governor, or some other respectable salutation there. Okay, then you'll write your paragraphs. When you're skipping between or going from one paragraph to another, you're going to skip a line between your paragraphs. So it indicates that you are moving to a new paragraph. And I would like for your letter to be at least 3 paragraphs long. Your first paragraph will introduce why you're writing the letter. Then your second paragraph can tell about your proposal. And your third paragraph can kind of summarize or sum up your points that you wanted to make. And then you'll finish off your letter by signing it sincerely. And you can use, since we're not printing these out, you can use one of the fonts that look more like a signature if you choose. And there should be 4 spaces between the sincerely line and your typed name. Okay, you're going to use a standard font of size 12, and I would prefer it to be a font like Arial or Times New Roman or something that is easy to read. Okay, so if you need any other help with writing your letter, just let me know. We'll be working on these in class, but those of you who are virtual, if you have any questions or need some suggestions, make sure you message me and I'll be glad to help you. I hope you have a great day and good luck on your letter. I look forward to reading those.